Good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We're going to go ahead and get started, but thank you for your time, and I'm going to hand it over to Marisa from Education Elements. To start, actually, I guess I got to say a little something first before we hand it over to Marisa. So again, thank you for joining us. There'll be plenty of time for questions and comments. For everybody that's watching, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube, if you write in a question in the comments section, it'll pop up for us, and then we can hold on to it till the end, or we can bring it up during the conversation. So do not hesitate to participate. And I'm just going to say I'm happy that we're doing this. I think you'll see that this is a little bit something different than normal curriculum review and audit. And I'm excited about this process and what it means for our faculty, staff, and students. Mr. Hahn?
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm looking forward to the conversation and the slides that we're all going to see here from Education Elements. I've been involved on the strategic planning committee since the beginning, so I'm excited that we've gotten to this point because it's a sure sign of progress. So looking forward to the conversation tonight, and I would like to introduce Mrs. Smith.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Again, I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to go on tonight as well, and having this discussion about moving forward and looking at our curriculum and what we're offering at Arkport. Very exciting event for us. Mrs. Groff?
Go ahead, Mrs. Groff. You got to just introduce yourself and say hi.
Okay. Hi, Mrs. Groff. I'm a second grade teacher at Arkport, and looking forward to our discussion tonight.
Caitlin, you want to introduce yourself? I think you might be on mute.
Sorry. Hi, my name is Mrs. Harvey. I'm also a second grade teacher at Arkport. I'm excited to talk about my experience with the strategic plan and talking about vertical alignment tonight with the curriculum audit.
Thanks so much. Hello, everyone. So excited to be here. My name is Marisa Garvert Herrera, and I am a design principal with Education Elements. I also have my colleague Dana, who's going to be helping me facilitate tonight. And we also have a colleague, Shell, who's not on our call tonight, but is heavily involved in the work. I'm just so excited to be here. This is my second year working with Arkport. I really had the pleasure of working with Arkport last year on the strategic plan and journey of a learner. Got to come in there in person and meet some really amazing folks. And I'm just so excited that this work is building and continuing, and that we are integrating and building on the work that we did last year to talk about tonight the curriculum review, vision, and selection process. And so really the point of tonight is really to just update you on the process, see what questions you have, and see if you want to be involved in the future and how we can involve, because really this is all about our students and your learners. And so we really want to be here and be able to talk about the process and any questions that you have, and also get your advice and suggestions. So with that, we really like to make sure that we take a little time to just check in with one another. And so really quickly, I know some of us can't see each other, but I would love for you to just take a minute and think about when you were in school, K-12 schooling, and think about if you can think of a time where you remember a lesson or a book that you read that really had an impact on you. And just take a minute and think about what that was and why do you think it had that impact. And then a couple of us will share as you are thinking. So something for me, I remember I was in like second grade and we read a book about different types of hair. And it was something that was impactful for me at the time because I have a lot of hair, can't tell on screen. And so not a lot of kids around me had hair like mine. And it was an opportunity kind of just to talk about what that was, some of our differences in our similarities. And so also it just provided time to also think about how, being kind to one another and appreciating our differences and all of that. And so that was something I still remember from this day that was many, many years ago in second grade. Dana, do you have an example that you wanted to share?
Yes, of course. Good evening, everyone. My name is Dana Britt. I'm a former teacher and district administrator, and I help oversee our work across New York. And the lesson that I remember most vividly was in 8th grade. It was, I believe, a mathematics lesson, but it was with the stock exchange. So we had a fake budget where we were able to invest money in the stocks and then see how our portfolio did over, I think, a couple of weeks. And my stocks, unfortunately, did not do very well, but it's always stuck out with me, I think, because of the real world application of it.
Awesome. I love it. Well, if you're able to, you can put some of your comments. We can see your comments and you can put those in. And if not, just encourage you to kind of just reflect on that a little bit and think about why that stuck out with you. So again, while we're here, why we are here tonight, again, is just to introduce who we are, Education Elements, partnering with ArcPort and our approach. Begin to build that common understanding of really why we need high quality curricular materials, and then review how we got here and where we are going. And so talking about our project roadmap and goals. So getting to know us a little bit, we work all over the country, from California to Alaska to Hawaii to New York. And so we really have the pleasure of seeing all sorts of districts, shapes and sizes. And so that really helps us, get a picture of what's going on nationally to partner with our districts. And we do all sorts of work. And so we're excited to continue this work here in New York with ArcPort. And just a little bit more clearly zoomed in on New York, we do work with New York folks a lot. And so we have worked and are currently working with some districts that are close to ArcPort that share the same BOCES, but also across the state as well. So excited again to continue that here. And really what we believe here is that schools grow when people grow. So we really invest our time and energy into the people who are in front of kids and leading the adults in front of kids. And so we really, you could see our mission and vision here and why we really take a human approach and really like to invest in the people. So here you can see our guiding documents. Hopefully you have seen these before. A Journey of a Learner, which is the outline of essential skills and habits of mind that define a learning experience for ArcPort. And then the strategic plan, which really these things are intertwined. And so, as we mentioned, last year, these things were developed with community members and from all over the ArcPort community, including students. And we really got to know what was important to the community of ArcPort, and that shaped out into several different focus areas, and also then in these attributes of a journey of a learner. And so I'm going to pass it over to Mrs. Harvey to talk a little bit about what that process was like.
So working with Education Elements to help create the journey of a learner was a great experience. They really broke down the process into pieces and looked at the critical elements that are really important to ArcPort Central School District. Then from there, the committee was able to build upon what a learner at ArcPort looks like. We then looked at different focus areas that we believed supported the attributes that we were working on. And I believe it's on the next slide. Here you can see the attributes that we decided on: resilience, respect, communication, critical thinking, courage, and responsibility. My team specifically looked into vertical alignment. We looked at several initiatives, but in the end, we decided the most important was looking into a curriculum audit. And then Mr. Harper had proposed that it could be conducted by Education Elements. And teachers at ArcPort work really hard to meet standards provided for each grade level by the state with the resources that are available. The hope is that the audit will help us to see how these standards are built upon through PK-12 here at ArcPort, to give us an idea of what resources we could incorporate to meet the needs of our learners and the resources we are currently using that do meet the needs of our learners.
Thanks, Mrs. Harvey.
Yep.
And so, as she mentioned, we're really focusing in on that initiative and those focus areas that she was a part of with also some other colleagues. And so that being an initiative, an idea that came directly from the community as a want and a need. And so we're excited to help execute that. I'll pass it over to Dina.
Thanks, Marisa. I now have the pleasure of speaking a little bit about where we're headed, and then I'm going to take some time to talk about why we're headed there and why we think that this work is so important. So that we hope that by December 2023, that so that's next December, through our project together, we will have accomplished 4 key goals. The first one being alignment to the strategic plan, focus areas and initiatives, which is a bit what Marisa and Mrs. Harvey spoke about just a moment ago. We will have created an instructional vision to guide key decisions, and I'm going to speak a little bit more about what that means. We will have developed a systematic approach to curriculum selection through a curriculum pilot, where we have teachers who are able to be a part of that selection process and part of that pilot process. And through all of our work, as Marisa mentioned, we're really human-centered. So we hope that this process will help build content knowledge and expertise in the pilot team, but also across the district. And we're going to bring some resources today that you all can read, research about this work, and learn a little bit more about why we think it's so important and why it will be so impactful to your young learners. So what does all of this mean? There's a lot of details here on this slide. If you're someone who really wants to get deep into the weeds of things, this will be just for you. By the end of this project, we'll have a current state readout. So there'll actually be a document that you'll be able to check out that identifies gaps in the written and expected curriculum. And that readout will have community engagement data. So as we've alluded to, we are going to be asking you starting tonight through surveys. We're going to be interviewing if you'd like to participate in a focus group. We are also conducting inventories of the materials that your teachers and staff are using. We're also speaking with students. Through that, we'll create an instructional vision. So we'll be able to take our journey of a learner and really articulate, if that's the vision of where we're headed, what needs to happen in classrooms in order for that to happen? What does it look like for us to achieve each of those skills? And then we'll also have a pilot implementation plan to be able to share with you all and guide the work that we do together. So what does that actually look like, and what are you going to hear updates from us about? First, we're going to be thinking about what we're currently using, taking that lay of the land, really understand what curriculum and materials look like in your district. Then we're going to prioritize certain areas to dive deeper, because we can't look closely at all of the areas. We have to align on one area that we can really dive deeply with and continue the work with that. We'll review what we're using for alignment to state standards and to ensuring that we're having high quality instructional materials, which we'll speak a little bit more about in a moment. We'll determine new curriculum to pilot, and we are curriculum agnostic. We don't believe in a certain curriculum, but we are going to help guide the process to make sure that you are selecting the curriculum that meets your needs. And then we'll start to pilot the new curriculum with our teachers. And what we hope that this looks like sometimes is true in projects like this. We spend a lot of time building a plan and then we communicate it. But we're hoping that you all will be able to be a part of this throughout, starting at the very beginning as you are, so that you all are able to be a fully invested part of the process.
And Data, right before you move on, we have a question. Can you be more specific with what exactly the strategy is and how it is implemented?
Which strategy? I'm sorry. Do you have a sense, Marisa?
I think they're just talking about slide 18. So thinking about what the work will look like. So I wouldn't say that we have one strategy. I would say that we have an approach of kind of what Diana was talking around, like understanding what is currently being used and then using that to inform kind of a more specific idea to prioritize where to dive deeper, and then working with the community and the teams within ArcPort to understand, you know, what our vision is for our instructional vision. And that's really important for us to understand that instructional vision before we decide anything else. So I think in many times in typical curriculum reviews, people rush to looking at the curriculum options first, and we like to spend time beforehand really understanding the needs. So we will be talking to every single teacher in ArcPort and really understanding, what are their hopes and fears, and really using that information, as well as hopefully talking to you all and students as well. And so really understanding not only from what are the physical materials being used, but also how are they being interpreted. And so our approach, as Dana mentioned, really centers that human experience, coupled with what do we really want to see, what are our goals, and what is our vision, and then moving forward from there. Hopefully that is answering some of that question. If not, please feel free to add more in there.
So Marisa, I can add a little bit there, James. And again, as Marisa said, if we're not answering a question, go ahead and put some more comments in. But the strategies, one of the things I really like about this process is that the first thing we do is we discuss what our educational vision is, our instructional vision is for the district. And that includes all the parents and the faculty and staff and the students. And so what does instruction look like at the base level before we even get to strategies of how to implement our curriculum and our materials? So it's a really nice start to think about what we want our classrooms to look like. What do we want our school to look like? And then how is that the same across grade levels? Like in our elementary, we have 2 second grade classes, 2 fifth grade classes. So what's the commonality between those? And then how do those strategies continue and get progressively more complex as our students go up in grades?
I think as well, what we're going to cover next could potentially help answer this question in terms of the strategy being using high quality instructional materials, and we'll be able to speak a little bit more about what those are and why they're so important and share a bit of that research. So in terms of other strategies, community engagement strategies that we will be using, we just deployed or are about to deploy a teacher survey to inventory the materials. We have this town hall, which I hope will be the first of many opportunities for you all to be involved in this type of forum. But if this type of forum isn't exactly meeting your needs, or you'd like a more in-depth conversation, we are going to hold focus groups where you could meet with a member of the Education Elements team and a small group of other family members or community members to share your thoughts. And we're going to share and preview a few questions today, so that since you tuned in, you could go ahead and start sharing your thoughts. And we'll also have a survey at the end of the session as well for you to start to get those ideas in. And as we shared, the purpose of this tonight is to make sure that you have a clear understanding of what this process will look like and are understanding the purpose of it. So to dig a little bit deeper, we shared a bit about the what and the process, but we really wanted to end spending the majority of our time thinking about the why. And the why being the focus on high quality instructional materials. And just to make sure that we all have the common definition of those, we're using a definition from the Carnegie Corporation, and I'll read it aloud to you. When we refer to high quality instructional materials, we mean those that include specific learning goals and lessons aligned to content standards, student-centered approaches to inquiry-based learning, research-based teaching strategies, teacher support and materials, and embedded formative assessments to effectively help teachers implement instructional units and courses that are integrated, coherent, and sequenced. So when you hear talk about curriculum, it's not just about the texts that are being used, the books that are being used. It's also the tasks that are asked of the students. It's also conversations about the type of professional learning that teachers are having and engaging in, and the opportunities that they have for internalization and practice of those materials. We wanted to be able to provide 2 resources that we think are really helpful. So in our slides, which will be shared, you'll be able to go in and check out these 2 The opportunity myth, this is a brief overview of a longer article from the New Teacher Project that speaks about, well, actually, we're going to share a quote from that tonight, so I actually won't give away the ending of that one. But then also there is one here from an organization called Ed Reports on why materials matter. So if you're just going to check out one, I'd probably take a look at the why materials matter, because it's very visually engaging and has quite a few different graphics to really explain a bit more about that why. So with that, I'm going to pause and give you a moment to read this slide. This comes directly from that New Teacher Project article that I mentioned called The Opportunity Myth, about why high quality materials matter. All right, so I hope this was just a teaser and you'll take an opportunity to go and read a bit more there. But we found this study to be really fascinating because these 5 school districts, they were picked at random, and they were urban, suburban, rural, large, small. And through that, they found, as you saw at the last paragraph there, that students spent more than 500 hours per school year on assignments that weren't appropriate, which is the equivalent of 6 months of wasted class time. And that article goes into quite a bit more about that as well. But I would really also like to call your attention to the middle paragraph, where it really calls out the 4 crucial resources. And this is what's going to ground our work. And when you hear about this curriculum work: grade appropriate assignments, strong instruction, deep engagement, and teachers with high expectations. And the work is really defining, what do all of those look like at ArcPort? Grade appropriate assignments, that's set somewhat by the state, but talking about what strong instruction looks like, what deep engagement looks like at ArcPort, and teachers with high expectations, that's going to really guide our conversations. So with that, we wanted to give you the opportunity to share in the chat or using the comment function some of your thoughts about the questions that we've started to pose tonight. So with that, what types of curricular materials would you like to see available for your learner? How would you hope to be involved or informed in this process? And do you have any additional thoughts or feedback? And while you're percolating on that question, we're actually going to also hear from Mrs. Groff, who's going to share a bit more about why high quality instructional materials matter and why this work matters.
All right, thank you. So I was not involved in the process of the Journey of the Learner, but I've been around ArcPort for a long time now, and I've been through a couple of curriculum decisions where we've changed curriculum or we've adopted new curriculum. So I'm really excited about this work, that we're looking more towards aligning our standards and our work as we go grade to grade. ArcPort, I believe, has always done a good job with their students, and we have excellent teachers that work hard to meet the student needs. But having high expectations is definitely important in the learning, but also having materials to be able to teach the children that help us with those high expectations and high student engagement. Some of us had recently gone to a conference this summer that really talked about student engagement, and we thank the district for sending some of us to that conference. But they really talked a lot about student engagement and how to do that in your classroom. And you do need the curricular materials to go along with that. So like I said, I've been involved in many different times that we've chosen curriculum. I know Mrs. Smith has been involved in that, as she was a teacher at ArcPort for a long time as well. And I'm excited about this process because I feel like it's definitely more detailed than what we've done in the past in ARCport. So I think that's going to be a plus for all the kids pre-K through 12. Sometimes before, like she said, we've just had different companies come in and plop down curriculum in front of us, and they're like, okay, pick, what do you think? So we haven't really been able to pilot anything. So I was excited to hear about the opportunity to be able to pilot some things. And I don't know if that sounds good or scary to parents, but as a teacher, I'm excited about that in my classroom, because there's a lot of times that, we try different things with the kids just to see, to grab all of them, because not everyone learns in the same way. We all know that. So by having lots of materials at our disposal and some good curriculum that helps with student engagement, that's exciting for me. So being able to pilot some things and really look into this, you might think it's taking a while, the process, but I think it's better to really be thorough. And I'm excited that Ed Elements is going to be working with their school. This is, like I said, being a veteran teacher, I've gone through this process a couple times already, but I feel like this is going to be one of the most thorough processes we've gone through to make sure that our curriculum is all aligned pre-K through 12, that we're meeting our New York State standards, but we're also teaching appropriately to the students that we're working with and keeping them engaged. So I'm excited and looking forward to the process.
Thanks, Mrs. Groff. I think that piece you touched on, the pilot, also goes back to that strategy question. One of our mantras is go slow to go fast. And we really believe that change takes time. And so if you just, like you said, put something in front of everyone and expect them to immediately implement, we don't think that's sustainable. So we really want to make sure that we're making a really intentional and the right choice for the students of ARCport. I saw a couple comments.
We did have a question that came up.
Yeah, let me answer that right now.
And as we look at this one, I just encourage parents, guardians, anybody on watching, put those questions in. This is your opportunity, not your last opportunity, but it's a good opportunity to hear from all of us and Education Elements.
Yeah, thank you. So the subjects we are looking at, are the core subjects of math, science, English, language arts, or reading and writing. And then the only thing you missed on there is social studies. So we're looking high level at all of those. And then oftentimes we land with districts in an English, language arts, reading and writing, or math. Because a lot of times that is shown to be biggest priority. But we, can't say exactly because we'll be meeting the needs of you all and to see where we land. But those are the kind of the core subjects are where we're starting. And then again, apologies, I saw if some of the slides were hard to read. As Jesse put in there, we'll be sending those out, so that means that you can access on your own. But anything that needs to be voiced over, we can do that. But apologies for that. Any other questions, feel free to put in there. We'll just pause here and see if there's any other questions. There's a delay in when we get them and you type them.
Marisa, I can answer this one. Is funding entwined in the process? No, this is exclusive of especially the current federal money that is involved, the ESSER and ARP funds for the pandemic. This is exclusive of that. And there is no funding that we get for doing this. So this is a process that schools undertake periodically, just like Mrs. Groff has said. I don't want to ask Mrs. Groff how many curriculum audits and reviews and processes she's been in, but this is something schools do by themselves. This is a process we started last year that is not tied to any funding sources, whether we're using it to do that or we get anything out of it.
Well, we'll wait a few more moments to see if any additional questions come in, but just know even if you don't get them in, that there's plenty of opportunities here to share. So in terms of some next steps, and I think we had one more comment that came into the chat, which we can share. In terms of next step, take our survey and to share your thoughts. So this is the link here that you can, if you have your phone, you can open it up and just hover over the picture app and it will take you to our survey. Or you could type in bit.ly/ArcPort curriculum survey. And on that survey, it'll ask you if you'd like to be involved in a focus group and what your availability is so that we can engage you in that way.
So we had a question come up. What do you mean by vertical alignment?
Yeah, so what we mean by vertical alignment is that there is alignment amongst grade levels, so vertically K through 12. So I think someone mentioned earlier, I think it was Jesse, that we want lessons and curriculum to progressively build on each other, and that the students see a through line through their experience K through 12, and so this and following the standards helps us do that, and so making sure that it doesn't feel like totally disjointed when a student is going from second to third grade or third to fourth grade, and so making sure that we have some consistency and clarity, and that those teachers also are working together to ensure that they understand how those things build upon each other, so they can teach the materials better. Thank you for that question. Okay, so we have some other questions.
And just to follow up with that, and Mrs. Smith, jump in, Mr. Hahn, jump in whenever you want to. It's also going through the process of creating common language and a shared understanding. As a former science teacher at Arkport, I got to work with some of the elementary teachers. So it was nice to know, like when a kid said, I never learned that. Well, I know where it was in your curriculum in the elementary. So building that common language and getting faculty and staff together so that they understand how their process affects the next teacher is really important as well.
Thanks, Jesse. You want to move to the next question?
Yes.
So James asked, you may have addressed it, but the past year, has there been an audit? What did that reveal? So no, there hasn't been an audit yet. We're in the process actually of doing that right now. So as Dana said, we're starting the process now and our ending is December 2023, so almost a whole year from now. For the entire process, but we're kind of in the beginning foundations where we, as we call it, and that's right now where we're kind of doing that audit with teachers. So that's happening currently. So you didn't miss anything, James.
And last year, James, was the creation, and we talked about it in our first newsletter. We'll be sending more material out. It was the creation of the journey of the learner and establishing our priorities. So early on in the slides, we talked about those 6 characteristics that we want to make sure all of our students are learning and leave school on the path of becoming better at: communication, respect, responsibility, resilience, courage, and communication. So that's what we did over the past year, was create this foundation that then supports all the work going forward. So when we do our curriculum audit, when we do our vision of learning, it all references back to that work we did last year in defining what our journey of learner is.
And Amanda asked, are you working with other schools in New York State or any schools in Steuben County? You might have missed the big opening slide, Amanda, but we've worked since our founding in 2010 with over 50 school districts across the state and hundreds of schools. And so we're also currently working on curriculum-based projects across the country, and then as well with a district in Long Island, very similar to the work that you all are undertaking, that we'd be able to connect you with. They are about a year ahead of you at this point. Heidi asked, will this curriculum be next generation New York State standard specific? Of course, we want to make sure that we are aligning with the next generation standards and the New York State standards. So we will definitely make sure that that alignment happens.
Mrs. Smith, do you want to speak on your goal of talking about standard specific teaching and making sure that we are aligned?
I think that our standards are our roadmap to where we all need to get, and we have been very focused in the past. I believe a curriculum is great, and so is our teachers knowing their standards. So I'm really looking forward to this process. We have fantastic teachers, and I think matching with that challenging curriculum for our students is going to set them on that path of a journey of a learner and help them along.
So we have another question, Dana.
Nicole asked, will this incorporate the DEI work the district is currently doing? We want to ensure that all of the priorities of the district are a part of this work, as you saw in the strategic plan as well, in the journey of a learner. So any kind of current work that the district is doing, we of course want to make sure that that's included.
And I'll speak specifically to that. We had our first DEI meeting as the group earlier in the month, and it was powerful to be able to refer back to the journey of the learner, those 6 characteristics: respect, responsibility, communication, courage, resilience, communication, and how that is the foundation of what we're doing. And so when we talk about the vision of what our learning is, it has to be a part of that process. We have to be able to represent the diversity of our school. We have to make sure that all of our students feel included. But then there's that equity issue as well of being able to make sure that our students can access our curriculum. And so, yes, it will be. I would love to give you more specifics, Nicole, but we're just starting that work. But DEI and the work we're doing is part of the foundation of the journey of a learner. So yes, it will be incorporated.
Thank you for all those questions. We'll just wait a couple more moments to see if anyone else have any questions. And as Jesse mentioned, this will not be the last time. Someone just asked, what's the name of our organization? It's Education Elements. And we will again send out the slides so that you also can see that in writing as well.
You can check us out at edelements.com and see all sorts of the work that we're doing. We'd be happy to see you there.
The Journey of a Learner flyer will be sent out this week, so pay attention to that in the mail. And that really is our guiding philosophy. A lot of schools talk about mission and vision. Journey of a Learner is both of those for us. You know, it's why we show up every day, and it's what we hope our students leave with. And it's what we hold all faculty, staff, students in this school accountable to. So make sure you keep an eye out for that. That'll be coming in the mail sometime this week or early next.
Awesome. Well, if you haven't already, we would love for you to take that survey. And we also, again, will send that out in case you can't get the link pulled up, but love it if you take time tonight. That will inform us of your thoughts, and also just if you are interested in having a more in-depth conversation with us, we would love to chat with you if you would like. Really appreciate everyone being here tonight. No, it's been a long day. And it's a Monday, so really appreciate your time, and I'm looking forward to also being able to speak with you all again. Jesse and team, anything else that you wanted to add?
No, just thank you everyone for coming out tonight and participating. We appreciate your partnership in this.
Yep, we appreciate the questions and the feedback, and we look forward to what lays ahead.
Thank you, Mrs. Groff, Mrs. Harvey, for helping out. Thank Mrs. Smith, Mr. Hahn. And we'll be sending some more information out. We'll make sure that we send out the survey to all parents and guardians to give you an opportunity to give some feedback. And then I know that we'll also be looking for some parents and guardians that want to put some more information in for this process. So we'll be asking for that. And I just thank you for Marisa and Dana, and thank you for everybody for participating on a Monday night.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, guys.